I said to the American people, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. On this, the day of my daughter, Ivanka, she's such a beautiful girl. I would marry her, but it's the day of her wedding. And, if you want it, you can get it right now, okay?
Welcome to M8-Bit!
Hello everyone and welcome to M8-Bit, the pop culture podcast that's 6-bit's game show and a 2-bit pile of trash. My name's Sam Riley and I'm joined, as always, by the fabulous Fareed Athman.
Hiya!
By the devilish, returning David Hall.
Hello there.
And by the always charismatic Philip Cairns.
Hello!
Right, so we're going to start off with Synonym Grahams. And we're just going to get right into it. You know the rules by now. If you don't,
I've forgotten.
You've forgotten already.
It's fine. The rules are me and Dave set it up and Faz gets it to the answer.
That's
But
basically
then
what it
Sam
is.
blames Faz.
It's because you do it every
That's how
week.
it goes. Them's the rules. The real rules are that we take words and we swap the words around with similar words, also known as synonyms, and then you have to work out what game or game character I'm talking about.
And Sam always gives us a clue that doesn't help us in any way.
The clue
shape,
helps
or
me.
form.
It helps me by amusing myself, which I can do in many ways. Anyway, number one. Unfairness, deities between everyone.
What?
Injustice God among men.
What? That's not even a game.
Is it not?
Well, it is, but you murdered the title.
What is injustice?
And the clue for that one would have been brought to you by the Fairness Alliance of the United States.
Was
The
Fairness
Justice
Alliance?
League.
Justice League of America.
Can I have half a point?
No.
You can have half a point.
Yes.
actually.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything to stop Faz. It's sort of like tactical voting. Faz is Theresa May.
But I do often run through fields of wheat.
Can I be Comrade Corbyn?
Can I be known as Farron Bueller?
No. Okay, so number two. Region of the finalists. Region of the finalists.
Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the
Oh,
Enders.
come on.
Yeah, boy. No, I
Theresa-
said yeah, boy,
You
man.
did. Which means that all of your points thus far, as in the general election, have been rescinded.
This has happened twice now. It's
Yeah,
not fair.
yeah.
Injustice.
Right, and the clue for that one would have been from skin-tight suits to throbbing robo-dongs. So if anyone's played Zone of the Enders, you know that all the robots look really cool, but then they have massive metal dongs for no reason. Well, I say no reason. Hideo Kojima, he's just weird, isn't he? Okay, number three. This is a tough one, this. Bum within religion.
What?
Bum within religion. It's a tough one, that, isn't it? And no, it's not a joke about, the Catholic Church. So, if there's any priests listening, don't get touchy.
Bum within religion.
Oh, you're gonna have to give us the clue that's never gonna help.
All right, the clue for this one. A franchise that may have jumped the shark by removing the shark. Just one man's opinion. Just
Echo the
one.
Dolphin?
What?
Ascent into Christ.
Ascent into Christ.
Yes.
That sounds like some sort of cult.
Within religion?
You didn't have that game on PS.
I mean, we all did, obviously.
Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed.
Yes!
Oh my.
Oh my god.
Ascent.
So proud of myself.
Ass in z Creed. I should have told you though that bum within was one word. I mean, we all speak English. We all know bum within is one word.
Obviously.
Consult your
What else
dictionary
would it
or your local library. Okay, number four. Revolving beer mat baron. Revolving beer mat is one word. Revolving beer mat baron.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh. You can share the points on that. Right, so that is one to everyone, I believe, and maybe 1.5 to
One
Phil.
and a half.
Phil's winning. Okay, number five. Negative single exists eternally, which kind of sounds like a Lonely Hearts ad, but it's not.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Negative single exists eternally. And so the clue for that one, this archer catches more eyes than a bloke at the Battle of Hastings.
Horizon Zero Dawn?
No. No, really. What to add to that? No.
Negative Zero.
Negative.
What was the other
minus.
bit?
Negative single exists eternally. And the clue, this archer catches more eyes than that bloke at the Battle of Hastings.
Catches more eyes?
Yeah.
Archer.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Do you want to know? You won't give it up?
No.
Because I need to win my point back.
You've got 5 seconds with which to guess it.
Something lives forever. I don't know.
It's something infinity. I
You're
reckon it
painfully
is.
close, but you're wrong. It's No One Lives Forever.
No one.
What's No One Lives Forever?
You never played No One Lives Forever?
No.
Kate Archer. This archer catches more eyes than the bloke at the Battle of Hastings because she's good looking.
I've never played it.
Skin tight suit.
Actually,
I feel like I need to Google it.
that one and the clue that you gave was really good, but I don't think any of us have played it, so it's wasted on us.
Okay, number 6. Display firearm, that's one word. Display firearm, complete conflict.
Oh no, I know what the first bit is. I'm going to chip it up. The first word is Shogun.
Total War. Shogun Total War.
Yeah.
I think we should share the points again.
I certainly chipped it up for the nod in there.
Well,
Either way, Phil just won.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on a meaningless victory.
Yeah.
Now, if Faz could keep his bloody mouth shut,
I would have won.
he would have won.
He said it
Yeah,
again.
boy!
Also, display firearm, complete conflict. Words to live by if you're an NRA member. I'm going to display the firearm, therefore completing the conflict. Or starting a big conflict. Shit, didn't think about that, did we? Now everyone's dead. Okay, now we're going to move on. It's a great bit, hate bit, in which we talk about things that are great, and then things that we didn't like so much. Okay, so I'm going to start off. My great bit this week is a game called Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. Anyone heard of it?
No.
It's made by guys called Ninja Theory. But the thing I really like about this game is the idea that, yes, it's got a really interesting premise. It's a weird one to describe. It's basically about this woman in a Celtic tribe, and she's dealing with mental health problems while there's a big bloody war going on. So she's kind of, I guess it's a way for them to have supernatural elements come in without actually having them, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, so the right visions.
Yeah, she can be plagued by these visions and stuff like that. But it's also, apparently, it's really well done in terms of the technology of the facial animation. But the most important thing about them is that they are working on a smaller budget and planning to release a cheaper game that will be about half the length of a AAA title. Could all be an excuse, obviously. Maybe they've only half finished it and their deadline's coming up. But it sounds to me, and they have said this, that they are really adamant about bringing back the mid-sized game. Now, if you're like me and you played, especially the 5th and 6th and even the 7th generation of games, there were a lot of these mid-sized games, but they seem to be diminishing every year. Games that you might now call hidden gems, things that were really well made, maybe didn't quite catch on. In some cases they did and spawned a franchise, but it's just a chance for a smaller publisher with less people, and the team making Senua's Sacrifice is something like 20 people as far as I know. But they are able to get out of that 20 people so much because they don't have to put in crazy amount of time it's needed to make a 15-hour game. So I'm really excited about this project. It's about £25 it'll be, probably about, I guess, $40 in the United States, which is about 2/3 the price of a normal game.
Yeah.
And if it pays off, I think it'll be fantastic for the games industry just because it will show to publishers that there is a market for these types of experiences. Now, on the other hand, I guess Xbox did something similar recently with a game called Recore. Now, in that case, it was cheaper, didn't really last that long, but they did sort of position it as a big Xbox exclusive. Now, that might be the difference here. That might be the reason that didn't succeed. On a console that doesn't really have that many games coming out, especially not exclusives, people wanted that to be a big exclusive, and it wasn't. It was kind of a budget title that didn't live up to expectations. So I'm hoping that what failed there doesn't fail with Hellblade. And, you know, as we've said, some of the games they've made, they've got a good pedigree. And I think that when it comes to combat, they really know their stuff. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know if anyone else has any kind of fond memories of like mid-sized games. You know, nowadays we've got a big indie market and we've got a big AAA market, but the cost of these AAA titles keeps going up and up and up. So it's kind of an exponential growth in the same way Hollywood has experienced, where you have to keep betting bigger and bigger on known franchises to keep people coming back.
By mid-size, are you talking more about the length of the campaign then?
They can be judged in a few ways. Usually, budget is a big consideration. They'll probably be about half to 3/4 of the budget of a AAA title. They'll have a smaller team, and not always, but they usually can get away with trying out some new ideas or technology because there's not that kind of malaise that sets in with your AAA titles where you're quite scared to do anything really new.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, if you're talking about length of campaign, that's a really big thing because I don't have much time to play games anymore. So I'd appreciate if more I know it sounds weird to say I'd like my games to be still good but shorter. But you know, if I was paying less money for it, I'd definitely be more inclined to fork out for a game that's that long.
I'm exactly the same. I find myself increasing with less time to play games now. And I'll make time to play like one of the AAA games. Do you know what I mean? If a new Grand Theft Auto comes out, definitely be playing that. But for a lot of the other games that probably seen as a bit more mid-sized, like I don't think I'd be willing to pay a full amount for a game that's similar length and is probably maybe not as great. Like, I'd much rather see something a bit shorter.
That does come with its own problems. I mean, one of the things about Recore, a lot of people saw the diminished price and automatically assumed it was budget for a reason. They didn't think, this is a smaller title. Yeah, they thought the quality must have been hurt for them to be giving it away at this kind of price. That doesn't necessarily happen, but people, I think, often perceive that to be the case. And if you perceive it to be the case, great games can sometimes fall by the wayside. So is it something that's been done enough? Is it something we just have to get people to get used to? Or is it kind of suicide in the marketplace?
I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I think it'll keep creativity going because not everyone has the budget or the team or the time to make a AAA title, do they? And if you've got that option, then it's a good thing, definitely.
So what do you call value then? I mean, it's a hard one to really judge, but then you get certain games that have huge budgets. They're true AAA titles, and they last, maybe first-person shooters in particular, the standard that gets thrown around a lot is 8 hours. But then you get something like a third-person game, and they tend to last a bit longer than that, especially something like Uncharted, which is great value for money if you love your single-player campaigns, because they're very replayable, but they also last, I would say, at least 10 hours, maybe longer, probably even as much as 14 in some cases. I would have to check that. And in fact, if you're someone who's pressed for time playing games, one of the great websites that you can use, one of the resources, we're not affiliated with them or anything like that, but it's called howlongtobeat.com. And it's just, the name makes me laugh, but it's very useful in terms of deciding what your next game is going to be if you just don't have the time to commit. So at the end of the day, it's really about a judgment call on your part. What is value for money? And it comes down to each individual person. But I think if you're the kind of person who enjoys a AAA experience, doesn't have much time to give, and maybe wants to save a bit of money, maybe you like getting all the achievements, replaying it over and over to really get that value, then Senua's Sacrifice, it's got a lot of pedigree. I would definitely check it out. So we're going to move on to Faz now. Faz, what is your great bit this week?
My great bit is I've recently been playing Superhot on my Xbox. I'm going to do that thing now where I say, has anyone else played it? And you'll go, no.
No, but I am quite interested in it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So to give you a brief overview of the game, it's essentially a first-person shooter, but time only moves when you move. So really, the way I saw it and the thing that drew me to it was like living out the Matrix. So a guy runs into the room and then you can think about everything that you do. So you can throw your gun at his head and then move around the bullet that he's just fired. And as you move, your gun flies through the air towards him and obviously his bullet moves towards you. And then when your gun hits his head, he'll throw his gun into the air as sort of like a reflex. Mm-hmm. And then you can catch the gun out of the air, turn around and shoot another guy. And it's just such a cool and unique, I guess, a puzzle approach to a first-person shooter. Okay. Graphically, it's just white walls, white objects, black guns, and then the characters are all just red guys. Mm-hmm. And the story it's kind of I suppose it's just with a lot of indie games, it's it makes you think. It's all about computer hacking and are you really in control of yourself in the game kind of thing. Yeah. But it's really fun. And there's a load of replayability to it as well, because once you've completed the main campaign, which is pretty cool, there's then loads of sort of time challenges, or you're only allowed to use a katana in this level, or you're only allowed to throw your weapons in this level. So it's pretty cool. It's really good, and I reckon y'all should check it out.
Since you mentioned that's something that I think is missing from a lot of shooter games, or just games in general. I love the idea of sometimes when you get your full arsenal, then being restricted in what you're actually allowed to use for certain sections. Yeah. There's obviously certain areas where a lot of games will have a prison break section where you start out with nothing and you have to acquire your weapons back. You'll crawl around for a bit, do a bit of stealthing, then you'll find the prison guard's office, find all your weapons and go on a killing spree. But I love to see in games where they will say, maybe it's in challenge modes, maybe it's not, but they will restrict you to just using 2 of your weapons in this, and you have to find unique ways to challenge yourself to use weapons that you might not normally want to bother with. Mm-hmm. So as much as I like the idea of giving people all the guns and letting them choose how to blow up the sandbox, sometimes restricting people less is more, if you know what I'm saying.
It forces you to be more creative in a strange way.
Yeah, one of my favourite games, Hitman Blood Money, does that really well. There's a few the achievements and challenges where you can only use basically you can't use any weapons which is really good. And it kind of actually ties in a little bit to what you were saying about playability. It kind of makes the game last a bit longer. It doesn't even need to be that long.
Superhot isn't it? It's probably I think the campaign's 2 hours, if that.
Yeah, exactly. But I got so much playability out of that because there were so many different ways to play the game and so many different ways to complete the level with different weapons, and whether you want to go a bit gung-ho or whether you want to be like really super sneaky. So yeah, I'm much like you. I really do like sometimes when it really limits what you can use and makes it a bit more like a puzzle rather than just a Call of Duty style first-person shooter.
And it's just something nice to come back to even when you finish the game, isn't it, really?
I mean, sometimes they take it too far and they give you really difficult things to do. Don't really feel like the time investment is worth it to go after some of the achievements. But I think in general, a shorter game such as the one I was just talking about, Hellblade, that can really be beneficial because a game that might only last 4 hours will give you, 4 times that amount because it really sinks its teeth into you and you really want to just keep playing that core gameplay over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're in agreement. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to move on to Dave now. Dave, what is your great bit of the week?
So I'm going to go with a Switch game, which is called Snipper Clips, which you may have heard of. So basically, you're these little characters. It's hard to describe them, really. They're
basically like a piece of paper, aren't you, really? I think
like a U, but like a solid U shape. And you've all basically got your little nunchuckers. And you twist these controllers to make your Snipper Clip character move around in a circle. But also one of your buttons is like a pair of scissors. So whenever you hover over another character, whatever part of your shape is over them, you cut that shape out of them. So each level has an aim. Like some levels, like a basketball will drop into the top of the level, and there'll be a hoop, and you've got to figure out a way of getting the ball into the hoop. So obviously you've got to maybe make a bucket sort of shape out of your Snipper Clip guy. But the target audience of Snipper Clips is really people who don't play games. So you
like most Nintendo games.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the perfect balance of you knowing exactly what needs to be done and the person also knowing what needs to be done, but haven't the foggiest how on earth they make their fingers do that on the screen. So yeah, it's just really hilarious, lots of fun. And again, it's one of the cheaper games because I think it cost me about £17. But for playability, it's one of those games you just want to keep picking up. It's
really good party games, though.
Yeah, that's right. You can have 4 people playing it at the same time, and it's difficult enough with 1 player, but you have 4 people who don't know what they're doing.
You would think it would be easy, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's the thing I thought was funniest about it was that there was 4 people, and you're you can see exactly how to complete this puzzle, and you think it should be easy, but because there's so many people all trying to do different things at the same time, it's just chaos.
Yeah, you end up messing each other up trying to sort it out. At some point, you need to twist your controller left, but it makes their character go left, and they don't need to. It causes hilarious arguments, I think.
I was about to say, there's 2 types of party games. There's the Mario Party type game, which makes enemies out of your friends.
Yes.
And then there are Guitar Heroes, where you all have a good time.
Yeah, that's
so
right,
you'd say it's definitely in the former.
Yeah.
Don't play it with a new boyfriend or girlfriend or something. Don't unnecessarily test that relationship.
Yeah, give it a bit. But that's my great bit.
I think Nintendo have really got party games down, haven't they? No other console does it. I don't think I've ever had as much fun and also fury with friends and games when it's been playing Nintendo. I've never had so much fun playing PlayStation with a mate, but Nintendo just brings out that just silly and infuriating side to everyone, doesn't it?
Can confirm the first time I saw you were playing the Wii in a nightclub. I didn't know you at the time.
When was that?
You had a big smile on your face.
What was I playing?
You're playing Mario Kart.
Which was it? Where was this?
Such a romantic moment.
All you need to do, Dave, is get hold of the long lens camera you were using at the time and just date check the photos. I mean, if it's not completely, if it's not too soiled by now.
The video is labelled Future BFF.
Just saying.
None of the listeners saw the look that me and Dave gave each other then. It was quite
describe it in lurid detail.
No, it's just for me and Dave.
Dirty. Oh, I see. Okay.
He's filthy.
If you subscribe, me, Dave. We'll tell you what the look was like.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
All right, Phil. So, what is your great bit this week besides that look between you and Dave just now?
I feel like we're going a bit off topic now because I'm going to go with a TV show, which is Master of None. The Aziz Ansari TV show, the Netflix original.
Yeah, cool.
Has anyone seen it?
I've never watched it, but I was listening to a podcast probably last week and they were talking about it, so that's really weird.
Oh, really? Oh, well, don't tell us what that podcast is, because if it's better than what I'm about to say, I'll look very silly. Anyone else seen it?
No,
I've seen about
I know what it is, but
3
I've not seen
episodes. It strikes me as a bit his attempt to do a kind of Louis-esque.
It's really weird that you would say that because that's exactly what I thought, but I kind of loved it. So I'm really enjoying the show. It's pretty much your typical sitcom, but it's a bit different in the sense that it's quite refreshing to see, well, a minority being the lead role. And it plays really well on that because they deal with a lot
I'll
of...
have you know, in fact, Louis C.K. is Mexican.
Well, all right,
yeah.
And ginger.
He is Mexican and ginger, but it's not obvious, is it? Well, it's obvious he's ginger. It's not obvious he's Mexican. But yeah, Master of None. I think they do really well at in just bringing some of those things that minorities have to deal with into light in a really sort of not in your face, blatant way,
not a judgmental kind of way.
Yeah,
just experiential.
Just like in a really nice sort of like comedy setting type of way. But it does genuinely, make you think. And I really like the fact that that it is a bit like Louis C.K., specifically his TV show Louis, but it doesn't feel like a cheap rip-off. It just feels like an influence that, well, I guess it's hard to not be influenced as a comic in America by Louis C.K., right? Like he's the biggest comic probably in the world at the moment.
He's definitely up there in terms of American name recognition, at least. But I would say I didn't say it's like Louis in a disparaging way, because I think in the same way that Ricky Gervais popularised or repopularised the mockumentary. I know Spinal Tap was before that and all this kind of stuff. I think that Louis probably popularised this new form of TV show where it's you, but it's not really you. Maybe you could say that Curb Your Enthusiasm did it before.
I was just about to say Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, maybe you could say Larry David did it before Louis C.K. But either way, I wouldn't consider Aziz Ansari doing it a rip-off. I agree with you. He has every right to try and make his voice heard.
It definitely, I think there is a new wave of comedy shows that are more based loosely on the actual sort of lead characters' lives. Because Louis always said that his was based very loosely on his experiences. Master of None is based on Aziz Ansari's, and I think the other writers and their lives. But there's loads of them doing it at the moment. A British one that comes to mind is Catastrophe, Sharon Horgan and Rob Delaney. Has anyone seen that?
I don't know who any of those people are.
No,
okay, right. Well, that one's loosely based on their lives as well, like
I think
anecdotes and experiences.
I can give you another one that nobody seems to know about.
Oh yeah.
Do you know David O'Doherty?
Oh yeah.
He had one like years ago, based like set in Ireland.
Oh,
and
right.
used to like follow him like going around on his bicycle between gigs.
Amazing.
That's also really good.
Yeah, I don't think it's a new thing, is it really? But I think it's definitely something that's been done a lot more recently.
It gives a lot more creative license to comedians to be themselves in a show, unlike something like if you've watched Louis, the TV show, there is definitely an episode or two that focuses on Louis' earlier failures, where he tried to fit his style into a normal sitcom in the 90s and early 2000s that just didn't fit his style. So yeah, comedians today are definitely benefiting from being able to have that creative freedom.
Definitely. And with a platform like Netflix, Master of None does this really well, that they're not worried about like how long an episode is. Like if it's on TV, it has to be 25 minutes max to account for adverts as well. Whereas Master of None, I've noticed that some of the episodes are 20 minutes long, and then others are like 45 minutes. But it's really good because it just means that you can have that freedom to tell a story that you want to tell, like without having to. Yeah, exactly. If it's not worth 30 minutes of screen time, then don't make it 30 minutes of screen time. All you're doing is adding filler. And those are the ones that end up being a bit flat. Those are the episodes where people went, yeah, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as the last one.
Yeah.
Because they've had to fill it with kind of jokes that don't really work. But it also means that if you've got a story to tell and it is, going to take a bit longer than half an hour and it's worth telling, then yeah. So I like that about it as well. It does that really well.
Netflix Netflix are really like notoriously like lenient as well. Like apparently you go to sort of like NBC or Fox or wherever and you say I want to make this, they say yeah, but you can't make jokes about this, you can't do things like this, it's got to be a certain length. Whereas Netflix just go, you say an idea, they go, yeah, we love it, we love your stuff, right, do it. You get to do it however you like.
They've sort of followed the
dream,
HBO
really,
model in that respect. But yeah, there's definitely true that some of these emerging emerging mediums are making headway by giving that kind of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Specific to Master of None, I watched about 2 episodes. I loved that they dealt with the idea of these guys, their parents really coming from a different world, because of course both of them are second generation, and they sort of deal with things that their parents have no concept of, and vice versa. So I like that it took on real issues in an interesting and kind of relaxed way. But the humour for me didn't really click, and I just wonder, with a lot of the people who were in it, a lot of his friends who he often has sit-down chats with in the cafe, I don't feel that there's a great deal of... they don't really click comedically for me. They're all sort of the laid-back, not stoner-esque comedy, but they are very laid-back. So if you like that kind of laid-back comedy, I think you've hit gold. But for me, I just wonder what your kind of reaction to that is. Like, I've only seen 2 episodes. Does it get better? Is it very funny?
I think you are fair to say that it is a bit laid back in those first few episodes, and I think it does stay the same a lot of the way through. I think I'm halfway through season 2 now, and it is very similar. But I think the reason that I enjoy it so much is I kind of watch it just in like downtime, do you know what I mean? Like chilling out. So it's kind of exactly what I'm looking for when I'm watching it. But I guess with everything, if it's not quite your style of comedy, then maybe you're not going to enjoy it too much.
Okay, so we'll move on now to 8-Bit, and I'll kick it off. And it's about IO Interactive, or EO, I can't remember how to pronounce it. But essentially, they're in a bit of bother at the moment because they released the piecemeal Hitman experience, which was about 6 downloadable episodes. And it all made up to a very good game, was very highly reviewed. But Square Enix, the company that publishes it, are saying basically they've had enough of giving IO Interactive another chance. They've not come out and said that. That's just my interpretation, because if you remember, they had Kane and Lynch Dead Men and then Kane and Lynch 2, which were both pretty poor. They had Hitman Absolution, which kind of tried to take the franchise in a bit of a new direction, make it more accessible.
Really work.
Exactly.
I hated it.
I still enjoyed it, and I thought the sniping challenge was pretty fun too, but it wasn't as good as the old Hitman.
It had a really bad script as well.
Yeah, but the new Hitman, they took it back to its roots. They sort of upped the ante, made things huge, really great environments to go around in and get lost in. Try things over and over again in different ways. It had its problems though, and I think that maybe for Square Enix, enough was enough. Now, the thing that annoys me about the situation is just a kind of existential sadness, I suppose, that this kind of thing has to happen. Because to get back to what I was saying about mid-sized games, this wasn't a mid-sized game, it was a AAA title that was released piecemeal. Originally, they wanted to make it in 2 chunks, and that probably would have worked, and they could have put a lot of marketing money into the first chunk and then into the second chunk. What ended up happening is they split it into 6 pieces. So where do you put the marketing money then? A lot of people have talked about this online. It basically killed its chances, because if you're anything like me, you want to play the latest game either right now or when it's really cheap later. You don't want to have the hype to play something, maybe get a 3-hour level that you really play over and over again, and then have to wait and maybe relearn the mechanics a month later for every single episodic piece of content. And then by the time the thing comes out as a full season, by then, of course, the hype has died down. You've got other games you want to play. Yeah. So that was a problem, and it had other problems as well. The DRM, digital rights management, was kind of a bit draconian. It was a bit antiquated in terms of how they wanted you to always be online. And if you weren't online, you couldn't level up your character, stuff like that. So from that point of view, I can see why it didn't do as well as even Absolution. It still trails well behind, as far as I know, in terms of sales. But as I say, what makes me sad about it is that something like this had to happen, because this was a game that tried something new whilst also giving back to the fans. It tried to be what the fans wanted, number one, and it also tried to be episodic. And yes, the episodes became much more spread out, and that's a shame, but I like the idea that episodic content could work. It's just that it hasn't up to this point with AAA gaming. Will it ever succeed? I don't know, but it could be cool. It certainly works for things that are much more, without being rude, easy to produce, like a Telltale game. They're not that graphically intensive. They don't require a lot of animation. So that kind of works. Maybe we'll never see AAA titles doing this. I don't know about you guys. What do you think in terms of, obviously, we're all quite sad that Hitman may not come back. Maybe it'll be bought out and it will continue. But is that a bad approach? Will it ever work?
Oh, I was going to bring up Telltale Games specifically because, to be honest with you, the episodic format didn't work for me at all. I definitely lost a lot of interest in it because of that. And when I heard that Hitman was going to follow suit, I was kind of worried for the franchise, and my worries have been, I guess, justified in a way, because of this has happened. So is the plan now that they're not going to bring out the second half of it whatsoever?
Well, no, the second half is out. It's now season 2 is up in the air.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? It's sad that they made the last one. They made that, it wasn't great, and they've kind of gone back on it and gone like, actually, we understand what you guys like. We're going to make that. They've tried something different with it, and it's kind of fallen on its ass. But really, I just think I agree with you completely. Like, it's just sad, isn't it? Really.
I think episodic could work, but it would need to be something that's a bit more condensed. Like, you can't release a game months apart because, like you say, people forget about it. People play it, they binge it, they get it out of the way really quickly, complete it, don't play it, come to the next one and just go, I've forgotten how to play this and what the last story was, and then they have to go back and maybe check it out. But if you release the game, and maybe it was, say it was 5 episodes long, and just have each section a week or 2 apart, you'd have to do it online, presumably, but like it would open a couple of weeks after you bought the original game, like episode 2 would. As long as episode 1 has a bit of replayability, and maybe there's a few areas where you can go back and try it a different way, or maybe you need to do it a couple of times, like level up your character, or maybe it's not such a linear level, then maybe there's a way it works there. But it won't ever work with long spans of time between
I guess
episodes.
The ideal way is you release it and then you release the next one after the amount of time it's taken for someone to have completely finished the first one.
Yeah.
Which really probably wouldn't be that long, right?
But
No,
I mean,
exactly
if you're doing that, then
You might as well
are you
just release it in one
taking
go.
you're taking the option to play it as you want out of the hands of the player? Because I mean, we've now become more used to with Netflix and Amazon Prime having our shows ready to binge watch. Now, I personally think that binge watching, you probably shouldn't go more than 3 episodes of a show at once and then switch it up, because you don't want to like start to resent the show a little bit or feel like you have to finish it all in one go. But you know, at the end of the day, it's up to the customer how they want to do it. So now when a big show like American Gods comes out piecemeal, it can make it feel more special. And it can also frustrate. You know, I might right now not want to get into American Gods, even though I'm quite interested in it, for the same reasons I said before, because I don't want to have to wait. I want for it to all be there when I finally decide to watch it, and I can binge as much or as little as I want. But by the time it comes out, the hype will have died down. I won't be as interested in seeing it. So maybe the whole episodic idea worked when shows like Lost were still big on TV, when it was weekly, when you did have to wait. Maybe it is just an old world idea that we should just do away with. It could be considered anti-consumer. I don't know what you would say to that.
I think, well, with things like Netflix, which generally are what puts out all in one go ready to binge, is that they don't require the advertising in between and around the shows, which a lot of just standard TV shows do. Because for what I've seen mostly, and sometimes it's really horrible, there's just horrendous product placement in the shows, and that's how they get their money. So I don't know. I guess in a way, episodic is not. It's probably not something really that game players want. Once I've spent some money on a game, I just want you to give me my fucking game, and I'll play it as much or as little as I want.
But are you the kind of person where, let's think of it in terms of early access games, if you're a PC gamer, you will be so excited for the prospect of this game that you are happy to turn over the money now in order to play an unfinished version that will improve as you're playing it, and you can be part of the dialogue with the developers getting to improve it. So are you the kind of person where you are happy to wait for the game to get it finished, or can you see why people would want episodic because it gives you the game earlier? You just have to then wait for each chunk to come out.
I personally would just rather the game just came out finished.
And you would be happy to wait?
Yeah, I would much rather wait for a complete finished game. I guess I'm a fan of early access in the sense that there are some people that really want that, and they really get a kick out of having that dialogue with developers and publishers and whoever else to make the game better. I guess it's just like beta testing, right?
But you're playing something exciting and new that's almost kind of got that mystery about it, I suppose, or that specialness of being involved, like in a beta, as you say.
Yeah, and I mean, I see the appeal of that. I personally am not that bothered. I just want to play the game. A lot of the time, first run through, don't think about it so critically that I would have a lot of feedback for developers and such. I'd much rather just play a finished game and let other people.
I think that's quite a niche appeal, isn't it? It's not going to appeal to everyone.
No.
I mean, I remember going back to Telltale and stuff. For me, that broken experience, that gap, having such huge gaps between the content, it made me not enjoy it as much. And I remember, do you remember when you lent me The Last of Us?
Yeah.
But I think I completed it. It's not that long a game, but I must have completed it over a few months.
Yeah.
Because I was playing like an hour here and there. And everybody loved that game so much, but because of the broken experience I had, I couldn't immerse myself in it in the way that other people had done.
Mm-hmm.
So I came out the other end and I was just like, not really asked about that. Probably the major contributing factor is the fact that I didn't play it in the one go. It just doesn't work for me.
You lose your skills, I suppose. You forget where the story has gone.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not hugely into the idea of episodic. I would like to see someone make it work, just to give us new ways of delivering games. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of sad that it means not the death knell of the studio, but I would like to think that someone will buy them, and I believe that Square Enix are working hard to try and find a buyer. Fingers crossed that they'll get to do a big game again soon and really make it work, because from what I've heard, they've done a great job with Hitman. It's just the delivery system wasn't quite there. So we're going to move on now to Faz, and we're going to do your hate bit of the week.
My hate bit is angry nerds. I'm playing against angry nerds on a regular basis.
Oh my god, Faz, I'm pretty sure you've stolen my hate bit.
Really?
my hate bit is basically just the
Angry
online community.
Yeah, well, I'll do the offline community. So I've stopped playing it because of angry nerds, but I regularly did play Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. And I've stopped playing both of those games because I just can't deal with angry nerds anymore. Like, for example, I used to go to Friday Night Magic every Friday, which is basically like, it's not casual, full-on casual, but it's basically sort of a relaxed Friday league playing Magic the Gathering. And I was a pretty new player, like, say, played it properly for like 6 months. And normally everyone's pretty lovely, but there's every so often you just get this one guy who's just so serious about it, and you're just like, is this Pro Tour, or are we playing in the back of a shop at like 10 o'clock at night? And like, so essentially whenever you play a spell in Magic the Gathering, you have to wait for the characters to respond. So even if it's not their turn yet, when you play a card, they have a moment to say, in response to your card, I do this.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So you could play a spell and they could play a counter spell that would either nullify it or change it in some way.
Yeah.
So I played a spell, still bearing in mind that I'm quite a relatively new character, and the guy I was playing against knew full well that I was. And instantly, without thinking, because I was so excited about, I've just done this really cool thing, I flipped a card over on top of my deck. So I saw what the next card was, and he freaked the fuck out. He's just like stressing, like you could see that he put his head in his hands, and he was like, "You're supposed to wait until it's resolved." And I was just like, Jesus Christ, me, like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, how about you chill out? I turn that card back over, and we get on with the game, yeah. And stuff like that happens all the time. Another example, Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm playing on a Wednesday night. I regularly play Dungeons and Dragons, and it was the way it was set up was you went and you were assigned a group, and for 6 weeks you would play one storyline with that group.
Okay.
And it was my very first experience of Dungeons and Dragons, and I've got so many friends that play it. Like, you play it, don't you, Phil?
Yeah, I play it.
Yeah, so like I've got loads of friends that play it, loads of friends that love it. So I was like, I'm obviously gonna love this because pretty much everyone I know loves it. I got assigned with this group, and there was this, like, everyone was pretty lovely, but there was this one guy who was just an angry nerd, and like, it was my first experience. I knew nothing about the rules, so they'd like be teaching me as I was going along. So this angry nerd knew that I was new, obviously. Yeah. My character and the angry nerd's character were in a room together, and all of the other characters were outside, and I opened this chest. And in the positioning that we were, because we were using like a sort of minifigs and a map, the position that we were, his character couldn't see what I was doing. So I opened the chest and I said, and the guy was like, "Oh, there's like loads of gold in it." And I was like, so I take all the gold, and I'm supposed to be a thief. Like, my backstory that I come up with was that I've been raised by like some like cult of thieves or some stereotypical bullshit. And yeah, so I said I'd take this gold and like no one else can have it, kind of thing, because that's my character. Like, that's how it is. What he does, he's a dick. And he was like, he just kept saying he can't do that, and I was just like, well, that's fine if I can't, but do you want to tell me why? And then he just comes in like, it doesn't work like that, fucking stressing about it. I was like, mate, we're talking about fictional gold, like, you need to calm down. So I hate angry nerds, and that's my hate bit of this week.
Okay, well, we won't say any more on that, because Phil will always be following up with the
more
online
angry
nerd community. So we'll have a bit of a palate cleanser between those. sort of like episodic content. You're going to have to wait so long you'll have forgotten what Faz said. Dave, what is your hate bit of this week?
So, I'm a sucker for anything Nintendo. I like Pokemon. So I thought Magicarp Jump, right, yeah. It ticks 2 boxes there. 2 of the things I like. I mean, it's the shittest Pokemon, everyone knows that. That should have been the clue. So I just don't understand why it's a game. It's one of those ones where you load into it and then there's, you've got like Professor Oak. He's just like, I've like Magikarps me and all this lot. And then
wow.
Don't ever become a game reviewer.
Yeah.
Or a voice actor.
Yeah, so you get like a big spiel about Magikarp that you don't care about, but like it drops a few jokes in like using puns like Tragikarp and stuff, and you're like, oh, maybe this game's all right. And then it's like now you've got to catch a Magikarp, so you appear on the screen with a fishing rod, and you press the screen once, and it goes, whoa, you caught a Magikarp. So you're like, oh, that was hard. And then it's like, oh, let's see how high your Magikarp can jump. So I'm thinking, oh, right, you're going to like tap it in a certain way, or it's going to be like there'll be like an A and B button on the screen. You're going to have to like do that something. No, you press the screen once, and then your Magikarp jumps, and then congratulations, you've won the jumping competition with Magikarp. And you're like, oh, right, okay. So that must just be like a little taster of like the basics of the game. Now you need to train your Magikarp. So you go into like a level where you've got to feed your Magikarp. So you think, oh, this is the game bit then. No, there's just food floating around, and you just put your finger on the food, and the Magikarp eats the food, and he can't miss the food. Like, he just follows exactly where the food is. And then once you've wasted like a minute just picking up all the food, it's like, oh my god, your Magikarp's leveled up. Let's see how high you can jump. So then you go back to the jumping screen, press the screen again, and it jumps, and he goes, bloody hell, he wins a fucking jump. I just don't know what the aim of the game is. Like,
that sounds like some sort of CIA deep cover operation, which is meant to sort of test the limits of human endurance.
Yeah, I feel like it should have been called Patience, but obviously that card game's already got the title.
It has indeed.
Do you think if you just plough like 1,000 hours into it, which literally no one will ever do, it turns into Gyarados?
No, this is the thing. If you continually press on Magikarp, he turns into Gyarados, and then the tree guy, the tree professor, turns up, and he's like, oh, bloody hell, it's a Gyarados. That's no use. And then you have to get a Magikarp again.
So basically Nintendo are now just trolling us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, Magikarp, you get what you pay for. Presumably free, and also figuratively in the sense that Magikarp is the dumbest of Pokemon, and you have agreed to play a game which is about collecting dumb Pokemon in a dumb way.
Yeah, well, there is egg on my face. So yeah, that's it. I think really, I don't really want to spend much more of my life thinking about it.
If I can extend your torment for a second, I do remember a while ago I pitched this article, and I won't tell you what it was about because it may end up being written. But one of the things that I found was this game that you can no longer get. It was a game that was like a Pokemon world that was a temporary amusement park in Japan, in Tokyo, I believe, in the mid-2000s. And they had this Pokemon fishing game there that someone, I think one person in the whole world, maybe 2, managed to get what's called a ROM dump of it, which is basically making it able to be reproduced as, say, a emulated game.
Yeah.
And the person has, I believe, some connection to someone who worked there or someone at Nintendo, so they aren't willing to actually make this public. So this game is like a lost game. And some Pokemon fans are really up in arms about this because it's like the one thing they're missing from their collection. And if it's anything like the follow-up, i.e. Magicarp Jump, then that's probably a good thing they're not getting to play it. Because if you can imagine that being your, no pun intended, your white whale of collecting, and you finally get to play it, and it's the biggest piece of shit you've ever played, then that might be the end of your fascination with Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my debate is sort of going to go towards this anyway.
We'll save that for later. We'll your debate bit.
Stick a cork in it.
Okay, and the other thing we were sticking a cork in, we're going to now uncork, and we're going to go back to episodic content. Not really. We're going to go back to talking about Phil's hate bits.
Angry nerds, but the online kind. Oh my god. So my hate bit this week is just toxic online communities, man. Is there a game that doesn't have a toxic online community?
I believe there are
single player games. That's the answer.
Maybe, yeah. Probably. But there are some that are better than others.
Yeah, but it's like the best of a bad bunch. So what got me on at this week was I've been playing Heroes of the Storm. It's the Blizzard's version of like League of Legends and Dota and stuff like that. It's a fine game. It's okay. It's fairly middle of the road.
Yeah, I've heard it's like pretty much Blizzard's worst though, isn't it? But it's
It's like it's free to play though. So without getting too much into the game, but basically the toxic community in it is just horrendous. Like I was playing a casual game. Okay, like I was just jumped in to a group of people that I didn't know.
Similar story.
Playing a character that I knew fairly well, but this was the first time I played for like 3 months.
And what's that? A treasure chest in the middle of the room?
Yeah, it was a treasure chest, and then I stole it, and then they got annoyed. No, not really. Basically, I just wasn't playing particularly well, which, having not played for 3 months is unsurprising.
Shame
but it's
on you.
only an online game, so
And
it's
it's
not
casual.
like and it's casual. It's not like I can do anything else. And this one guy just got so mad at me. He was just like swearing and just
Effing and jeffing.
effing and jeffing. He was effing and jeffing. It
Was he
just
throwing his size out of the pram?
inappropriate. And at one point, he just told me learn to play, and I was just like, I'm playing a casual game
Casual.
of like just with a random group of people. What the fuck do you think I'm doing in this scenario? Like, where do you expect me to go if not here? Like, I just don't understand why
Heroes
people
of the
get.
Storm training camp.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if he's that bothered, just go ranked. People in ranked play seriously, and all right, you get some bellends every so often that just want to like mess up your game just for the hell of it. But like, if you are that serious and you are that annoyed about someone not playing very well, you should stop playing casual. Like, I just don't understand.
Or
But
just
it
stop
happens
playing altogether.
exactly. It
because
happens
you're
with so
clearly
many
not
games.
enjoying the game.
And 27 years old, people calling me stupid things on the internet does not bother me one little bit. But
Sounds
youngsters,
like a challenge.
all right, yeah, go for it. Shout abuse at me on the internet if you
Just
like.
get it out. It's like a therapy.
But I mean, I guess kids are the worst for it, really. I was about to
Yeah.
say, like, just like, oh, there's kids coming in, they just want like a safe place to play. They're the worst for it, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't get at what point you're supposed to be able to have fun in an online community, because invariably, just at some point, you're just going to get some bellend that's taking it too seriously, and it just sucks all the fun out of it.
It's not just online, though, that's the thing. Like, it's just people, when people take anything too seriously.
And it's fine to take things seriously, right? Like, I don't have a problem with people taking Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, any online game seriously. If they've put a lot of time and effort into it, that's fine. But most places cater for serious gamers.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people need to flame in like
the
just
casual
casual
areas.
stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get so
exactly.
salty about stuff that like really doesn't matter. It's just like, ignore it. You'll be playing another game in like 5 minutes.
Especially when ranked is an option.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's no excuse. And the thing you find most competitive fighting game enthusiasts and probably most competitive gamers are by and large very cool under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So the great irony, I suppose, is that people who see themselves as great players but obviously aren't that good because they're blaming you for every issue and getting very pissy.
Mm-hmm.
They are not of that level. They will never be of that level because they don't understand how crucial it is to actually be very cool and not explode when things like that happen. But I would say I understand the impulse. I think we all understand it. I once played around the games when I was reviewing Halo Wars 2 for a publication, and unfortunately, a lot of the people that I was playing with were just very, very poor players. The ranking system, even for casual games, wasn't very good. So a lot of the times I felt that I was really pulling my weight for the team, more than pulling my weight, in fact, and I was still losing game after game after game. And it's quite disheartening, but I never felt the need to get really angry about it. Mm-hmm. But I can understand that some people who don't really have a lot of emotional intelligence, especially kids, how they could react in that way. I certainly wouldn't want to have to deal with a kid who was showing kind of signs like that. I mean, Dave, you've got a kid now, so it's something you might want to look forward to.
Can
They
you
get to
imagine your
games.
kid?
Well, I was
Emily
Throwing
just being like,
her headset at the wall. Yeah.
I was just more thinking about my reaction every time you killed me on Battlefront.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all recognise that impulse to get angry because I think a lot of people mistake that and they say, not to go on a big tangent, but people look at that and they say, oh, you're angry because of the game, therefore people can kill because of a game. Surely because it's a training simulator, for shooting people.
Yeah.
And I always say, well, no, it just brings out your competitive nature. And if, I'm the same kind of person, I get annoyed playing a game when it's frustrating or the AI is being overly competitive, shall we say, or people online aren't pulling their weight. I get slightly annoyed. I don't call names or anything like that. But I would probably do the same thing at playing football or soccer, as Americans would call it, every single week. I get annoyed when people slack off because I'm putting in that effort on their behalf or they don't listen. So I understand the impulse. I think we all do. But the thing that I really hate, though, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is when it's older people who should know better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, for me, the thing is, and I seem to be in a minority in this mindset, but at the end of the day, whether you're playing online or off, it's a game. It is a game. Like, you are playing to have fun. You're not playing to get angry with people and be a dick. And I just don't get that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm even when you're just playing against a computer, like, you see people playing FIFA and throwing the pad across the room, like, that's not me in any way, shape or form. And I do seem to be in a minority in that. I know a lot of people who get angry about
my friend got
games.
sent to anger management by his mum for throwing his controller across the room playing
Exactly.
Pro Evo.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like, well, to me, that's so weird. I don't get it. Like, at the end of the day, you're playing a game. A game is supposed to be for fun. If you're not having fun, stop playing the game.
Yeah.
I think when you start thinking about, like, championships in esports and things like that, and when things are actually on the line, like sponsorships and prize money, then I can understand someone getting really upset if someone's being shit on their team. But then when it comes to that point, you'll be a team who've trained together and you've got good together. Yeah. So it's kind of all right to be annoyed at someone and be like, why are you being rubbish? Like, you know, you should have put more effort into this.
Yeah.
Then it's a job. Do you know what I mean? Then it's not a game.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, if you're just playing in the back of a shop on a Friday night, or if you're just playing, like, online on the weekend, like, it is a game. Chill the fuck out.
But on a sort of mental level, I can, again, sort of understand. There's a great quote in Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're playing this online game, the social game, against each other. And I think Charlie can't understand why Dee is so involved in the game. And she reluctantly admits that when she's playing well in the game, she feels like she's doing well in real life. And then he says he wants to laugh at her, but he knows exactly what she means. And I think a lot of people, regardless of what they're doing in their life, they take a lot of
pride
a lot of pride, and they really want to win. It's not just competitive; it's about that kind of gratification, feeling like you've achieved something.
Yeah, I think.
And if you're losing, then you're getting the exact opposite. So it could be any one of those things, but.
Well, I guess we've got to the bottom of the question then, is why is the internet so toxic? It's because of fake internet points.
The bad thing about the internet is it's full of people.
Yeah.
And cats.
That's
the good thing about the internet.
Yeah. And something else, there's that other big portion of the internet, but I can't remember what's on it.
No idea.
Anyway, so we're now going to move on to M8-Bit for this week. So we're going to start off with Faz. If you want to pick a celebrity that you will be impersonating, and make it snappy.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Essential purchase.
Okay, so if one of you two wants to do the honours of picking out and shouting out one of the scenarios halfway through Faz's spiel.
Okay.
So what are you reading?
My microphone. I'm going to be reading a review for Magicarp Jump by App Trigger.
That's the same Magicarp Jump that Dave so hates. So this should be fun. All right, get to it.
Magicarp Jump can barely be called a game, and is instead more of an exercise in scrolling through endless text boxes.
Eating chili.
While a cheery aesthetic...
Brian Badonde.
Yeah, I was just about to say this is the best Brian Badonde impression I've ever heard.
While a cheery aesthetic and so, while a cheery aesthetic and some admittedly clever writing can keep you engaged for a few of leagues worth of jumping, there's simply not enough to get this game to merit your attention for longer than a few days at best.
Right, that'll do. That's a long one. But thank you for that, Faz.
No worries.
Any thoughts on that?
No worries for that Alan Rickman / Brian Badonde impression.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I've gone kind of lightheaded. I don't know why. I just didn't breathe throughout the majority of that.
The chili was too hot.
Don't die.
Obviously. Right, so now we're going to move on to Dave. Dave is now picking. Is he actually going to go through with his impression for once?
Don't pick Morgan Freeman.
Who have you got, Dave?
Andy Dufresne.
I've got Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau from The Room. A cult
Not
film.
hit her.
Bit of cult fiction
I did
there.
that.
I'm fed up with this world.
Oh, hi, Mark. Are you happy with that, Dave, or are you going to switch it
Yeah,
up?
I'll go for it.
You're going to try Tommy Wiseau. All right.
This is not really what
With no teeth.
This is not really what Pokemon fans would like to see from Nintendo on mobile platforms. It is more and more Jacko.
Don't do that, Yuri.
but it still can be. It can be appreciated by young kids. Oh, hi, Mark.
Did he regrow his teeth? Calcium. It's a wonder drug.
I was too jackoed up.
Let's see.
Phil go next.
And it is going to be...
Brian Madande.
Matthew McConaughey.
You happy with that? You happy with Matthew McConaughey?
What does Matthew McConaughey sound like?
All right. A charming
I mean, to be fair, we all know that whatever I pick is going to be terrible. So we should just do that.
Just do a softly spoken southern drawl.
I'm gonna need a second to think about Matthew McConaughey before I can do this.
You rub that body oil into your abs.
I don't even know if I can do a southern accent.
Just get in there real deep.
No context, stalker behaviour there. Just go for it. Southern, softly spoken, charming, bit creepy.
Right, okay. And scene. The whole thing is complete nonsense.
All right. I think he gets it.
But it's the sort of thing that you want to pop into every now and then.
Blowing your nose.
It's no Pokemon Go. Now by a long shot.
It's you, Matthew.
Cocaine.
Same thing.
It's Dallas
But it
Buyers
is
Club
fun
all over.
diversion from an otherwise awful world.
All right.
That was a nice shot.
In fact, not just all right, but all right.
That reminded me a lot of King Curtis. You know, bacon is good for me.
Oh, what's that from?
King Curtis from Wife Swap.
Wife Swap, that's it.
Why swap? Ugh. Right, let's get those selections back over to me. It's my turn now, and we're also going to need all of the resources. Bring them forth that I may partake.
Giveth the phoneth.
And Faz will be picking the situation. Once I've decided on a character, it's Donald Trump. Oh.
That's great. I really like that. You know,
I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to go for Donald Trump. I mean, you know, while I can, he is sort of on the verge of maybe being impeached. I don't know.
Going to be impeached later this evening.
Right, so Donald Trump is the choice, and I'm going to go with this review from 148 apps.
Magicarp Jump. It is laudable in
He's
so
jumping
far
on a trampoline.
as it takes a totally uninteresting gameplay loop and actually gives me gives me some life to it. Thank you, and God bless America.
We had some technical difficulties there. The jumping was interrupted by,
An obstructionist phone, a phone that just didn't want to work with me. I was trying to work it real hard for the American people.
It sounds a bit like Marlon Brando's Godfather at the same time as Donald Trump.
I said to the American people, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. On this, the day of my daughter, Ivanka, she's such a beautiful girl. I would marry her, but it's the day of her wedding. And, if you want it, you can get it right now, okay?
And that is that. All right. Who won? You decide.
I think Sam won.
Did I win?
Ooh,
I think Sam
it's
won.
very close.
Faz is voting
between-
me. Phil, who are you going for?
Faz's was very, very good.
Was it?
I really enjoyed it, but I think for accuracy, we'll have to go with Sam.
Yes.
I will take that small victory in the compliment that you just gave me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Dave, who are you going for?
I liked the irony of using accuracy for Donald Trump, but I too will go for Donald Trump by Sam.
We've all voted for Donald Trump.
Oh, shit.
But I am going to... I will go for Dave, because Dave managed to get through his first...
Well done,
his
Dave.
first imitate bit, and I'm very
Cheers,
proud
thank
of the effort that went into that. Round of applause, a single round of applause. How
That's
about
not his first imitate bit.
It's the first one
It
he's got
is.
through. Right, so Dave, on the topic of you, we're going to go on to your soapbox this week, which we've recently renamed to Debate Bit, because everything must be in order. Okay, Dave, so you are talking about that god-awful Nintendo game for mobiles.
Yeah, so my debate basically is Nintendo are obviously like ridiculously successful. I obviously get really excited when I hear anything by Nintendo. So I don't understand why they're weighing in on the mobile market when all the games that they're bringing out so far are really like half-baked. It doesn't do anything for their image. The fans don't like the game, surely, like unless they're idiots. I don't know, maybe they are, but it just seems like it's a way. Either if you're either going to invest in it, do it properly, or just don't bother at all.
Well, thus far, it's been Pokemon Go,
Yeah.
which is tangentially Nintendo, I believe.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
it wasn't made by Nintendo.
It was
No,
made by
everyone
the
thought it
Pokemon
was,
company, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Not Nintendo themselves.
So I guess that's only tangential. Maybe don't include it. So the ones they actually have put their name to, this
Mario Run.
Mario Run, and this Magicarp game. Is
yeah,
Nintendo.
that's right. And they just don't feel like full games. It's all the like the faff around. Like you don't just go on like the Mario Run game, do you? And just literally run and jump across the levels. You've got all the faff around of going on the little 3D map thing.
Oh, you have to be online as well, which is a pain in the arse. Especially if you're on the toilet with no signal.
Yeah, who enjoys all that? Like,
and I mean, of course, Nintendo aren't to be trusted when it comes to online integration. They are notoriously bad with that.
yeah, exactly. Like the Mario Run game, all you want to do basically is the same that you'd want to do on like say Temple Run. You just want to kill a few minutes, just running, jumping over shit
On the toilet.
and then and just seeing if you can get like a top score. Say, and even like Flappy Bird works better for what you want from a game. If you want a more complicated game, then you probably pay for something that's actually complete, but it overcomplicates a very simple idea.
Now, originally, I remember a lot of people were kind of umming and ahhing about whether this was a good move for Nintendo, and I think the general consensus was it was a good idea because they were broadening their portfolio, they were getting out into the new handheld gaming market, which I say new, I mean in the sense that smartphones are so ubiquitous these days that with Nintendo, at the time we didn't know, I don't think, about the Switch, but now it makes sense that they're abandoning handheld to a certain extent because handheld and home console is the same for them now, which I think the Switch is a good move, but you can't release a successor to the 3DS now in this environment because you have integrated home and handheld. So moving into mobiles, I felt, and I think a lot of people would agree, was a good move for them. But as you say, the real problem for that is that they're not putting in the same kind of effort, it seems, not getting the same quality out of their mobile titles that they had, on their actual consoles. So is it too soon to call that? I mean, that's only 2 games. Or do you think that they'll learn from it? Or is it's just the kind of, they farm it out to their least experienced developers, they don't really care about it?
I mean, part of me thinks it's just their way of showing the face in the market. Yeah, we're part of the mobile market, but when it comes down to it, I mean, how many people would pay? I don't know. You'd probably pay for imagine having like Pokemon Green or Blue or something on your mobile phone. They wouldn't take up much room on your phone. It'd probably be less memory heavy than even like Mario Run.
Yeah.
But you'd love playing that. You'd play it for ages until you completed it.
Well, I think one of the problems there is that because the Switch is a hybrid of home and handheld, they are going to wait 1,000 years, it seems, to set up a proper online system and then sell it on their new system. And they don't want people having it on mobile. But if they're getting into mobile at all, I would say make the games available that people want to play. Your Super Mario World, your Pokemon, Red. But their business sense has always been a bit off, as evidenced by the very limited run of the mini NES. Mini NES, as we would say over here. They had a license to print money with that, maybe for only 1 or 2 Christmases, but they just limited the stock, and then they said they weren't going to do any more. And I believe that was probably to get a bit of buzz going around those old games, and then sell you the stuff for much more expensive price ranges. So, do you have any kind of sympathy with that business outlook, or do you think that the way to go and the way to make a ton of money is to make everything available on mobile and just stick to more AAA style experiences on the Switch itself?
I just think if you're going to do it, you should do it properly. It just seems like such a waste. Like they've got great minds at Nintendo. Some of the most original games are from Nintendo. Like even recently, like I say, with like snipper clips, obviously it wouldn't work on the mobile, but you've got the minds that make games like that, and yet the best they can come up with a phone game is Mario Run and Magicarp Jump.
And you think about the licenses they've got as well, like there's so much scope to do awesome stuff there, isn't there?
Yeah.
In a way, you would kind of expect Nintendo to be at the forefront of mobile games because they do handheld gaming really, really well, like better than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the thing is, though, that games on mobiles are, I guess, different in a sense that you don't have a controller. You have the screen, so it all has to be touch screen. And I kind of feel a lot of the time games miss the mark because they're trying to be a game that you would play on a handheld device that had a D-pad and some buttons. the best games I tend to find on mobile are the ones that are solely made with mobile in mind and not trying to be anything else. They're trying to be a mobile game and integrating the touchscreen and integrating the types of controls that you can use with it. Because I remember getting really excited about Max Payne coming out on the iPhone. Well, I assume it came out on Android as well.
Yeah.
But I saw it in the iTunes store and I was just like, this is great. I love Max Payne. I'm going to get this. And it was so shit.
Yeah.
Like, the actual game itself ran fine,
Mm.
but the controls were so crappy because they were trying to use, like, joystick controls on the touch screen.
Yeah.
Same
And-
with GTA 3 and Vice City.
Exactly. All the time. Like, the thing is, you know, you're holding, like, the phone for a while, and the phones can get quite warm and everything. Your hands get a little bit sweaty, and all of a sudden, your flipping thumbs are sliding all over the screen, and not that you just don't have that, like, traction and grip.
The handhold is not ergonomic either,
No,
so you get
exactly.
cramps.
I genuinely don't understand why there hasn't been a genuinely good device for mobiles that like incorporate basically a gamepad or something. There's
Well,
been a
they've
few.
made efforts. Yeah.
They have made efforts. There's one that's sort of gone around the phone, so making it a bit more like a DS or something. And then there's been ones that like it's more like an Xbox or PlayStation controller that you attach the phone to the top. But there's nothing really been mainstream, and I'm really surprised that hasn't happened because there are so many games that I can get on my iPhone that I just won't play because I know I won't enjoy them because the controls are so shitty.
Well, that's definitely true, but the portability issue then, it's still very portable, but it's not stick in your front pocket portable once you have a game controller that you want to keep on it permanently.
Peripheral as well, don't you?
Exactly, that's true. But then I guess that goes back to then mobile games would just be better, full stop, if they were just designed for mobile in mind. Because there's some really great games out there for mobile, actually.
Mainly tycoon-style titles, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's some other ones that have utilised the fact that it's touchscreen really nice. Has anyone played Republic?
No.
It's not really like over the shoulder. You're basically using security cameras, like CCTV.
Like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, like you're hacking in, basically. It's kind of a bit like a... I can't think of what you were thinking
Stealth
of.
style. Yeah.
Stealth, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
I like sneaky.
A sneak 'em up is another
Sneak 'em
issue,
up, that's the one. So I think there is a place for mobile games. Like I say, there's some great ones, but it just needs to be done well. And I'm surprised that Nintendo haven't done that because, like Dave was saying, they have got some great minds of original game ideas there and original games that could utilise the types of controls mobiles will use.
Yeah, at the same time, their sort of slate as compared to other first-party publishers, like your Sonys and your Microsofts. I mean, Microsoft's is pretty poor right now, all things considered. Sony's is quite good. Nintendo, they've always relied on first-party, I think, but in the last generation, with the Wii U and this current one, I'm not seeing a ton of stuff. I'm seeing like games for the Switch, which could be fun, but for the most part, they are kind of struggling to meet demand on their main console, and that, in a way, that's even stranger because that is your handheld essentially, even though the 3DS is still extant. As I said, I believe that this is their attempt to homogenize the handheld and home markets. So you should really have double the developers working on games for it. And yeah, it doesn't really seem that way with the current slate. Taking people away from that very finite amount of Nintendo developers to work on phones and make actual ground-up experiences for the phone, that could be very difficult. On the flip side, Japan as a market has become massively about social gaming rather than your standard home console or even handheld. So it could be a great move for them to do it. I would say one black mark against Nintendo doing this, as you pointed out, Phil. Nintendo games are thought of as being kiddie, and yet you'll find no better control in a platformer than a Mario game, no more precision in a kart racing game than a Mario Kart game. And in many other respects, they are kiddish on the outside, but they play with a lot of precision. And so if precision is the name of the game, you're not going to get that on a mobile phone. So you're going to have to water down the experience. You're going to have to do your run type games. You're going to have to do your tycoons. I'm not saying they couldn't make it work, but are they going to give the resources to the mobile development teams to make that happen? So I guess I'm with you, Dave, in the sense that if you're not going to do it right, don't bother at all.
I think that games like Clash of Clans have proven that mobile games are like basically just a license to print money. And I think Mario Run, for example, is Nintendo's attempt at building a game that has that microtransaction formula as like the core of it. And if it makes money, if kids are downloading it and getting the parents to spend money on it, or if people who are just avid Nintendo fans are downloading it and buying all of the consumables, they'll just keep making them for that sake. And I don't think they'll ever improve in quality, because if they can make that much money by bringing out something that's pretty shit, why would you bother putting any more effort into it? Do you know what I mean?
So essentially, Dave, just lower your expectations. That's the take-home message, I guess. Right, so we're now going to move on to our final topic of the day. That is Pun Up. So if you've never heard this show before, then Pun Up is basically we take video games and we take another topic and we use puns to connect them somehow. So this week, it's got to be related with books. So we are now going to start with Phil. What have you got?
It's To Kill a Flappy Bird.
I like it. I couldn't come up with one for that. I had it on a list of books. I'm just gonna.
That's the only thing I can come up with it.
Dave, what have you got?
Sega bass fishing in the Yemen.
I like it. A bit more obscure. Faz, what is yours, and how would it make sense?
A Tale of Two Sim Cities.
I like it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And this one, this is great if you hate EA's take on the NFL franchise. It's Far From the Madden Crowd.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. And of course, that would be something to do with that piece of period literature, which I have no idea happens in that book.
I think we're going to come up with this quite a lot.
Phil, what is your next one?
My next one is Harry Potter and the Half-Life.
Get out. That's awful.
It's not as bad as my half term last week. That was fucking...
I told you, I've spent so long thinking about these, and they're not even puns.
Okay, so Dave, what is your next pun?
I've been quite mobile game heavy this week, so I'll stick with the theme. Green eggs and Hambo.
Okay, Faz.
Do you want a really bad one?
Any of them will do.
The curious incident of the dog in the golden night time.
Why didn't you do the nighttime crisis? That's what
What?
Well, that was really good, Dave. Well done. I think that was a lot better than mine. I apologise.
Yeah.
I don't know what the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime is about. I'll be honest with you. So
we are all cretins when it comes to
It's
literature.
about
a kid with autism, right?
A kid with autism who finds a dead dog in someone's garden, and it turns out his dad did it.
But guess what?
Instead of a dog, it's Piers Brosnan.
Dave has touched upon a very similar idea to mine, so I'll get this out of the way now. A Brief History of Time Crisis.
Oh,
nice. Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bringing it back to, of course, Stephen Hawking. That was his famous book, and that would be if he was really, really interested in Time Crisis, which he couldn't play, but, fair play to him. He's just really into it. Okay, Phil, what's your next one?
It's so bad. It's Counter-Strike Lewis. Which Counter-Strike is often referred to as CS.
That's
and C.S.
awful.
Lewis is an author, so there you go. Counter-Strike Lewis.
Well done, mate. Well done. That was really rubbish.
Please don't cut that.
Okay, Dave, what's your next one?
The Da Vinci codename RoboCod.
Ah, yes.
That was good. That's good. I was trying to get Robocod somewhere.
Paul Bettany chasing you with a fish?
It's just Robocod trying to
Nice.
I can't even
trace back his roots to Jesus Christ, maybe?
I see. All right, Faz, what is your next one?
Lord of the Sings Star.
Oh my god.
All right, we're going to move it along now. I have Ninja Gaiden Black Beauty. Yeah, thank you. Phil, what have you got for us next?
Animal Farmville.
Oh, I had Animal Farming Simulator.
Yeah, I had the same.
I think I also had Animal Farmville. So we're going to move on to Dave now.
Go with a Girl on the Train Simulator.
Wow, nice. Faz, what have you got?
The Great Gatsbyonic Commando.
Oh my god.
That is truly reprehensible. I feel bad knowing you. All right, my next one is, this is a Zelda reference, Water Temple Ship Down.
Oh, nice. I like
yeah,
it.
great.
Thank you. Phil, what's your next one?
50 Shades of Day of Defeat.
Wow. This may be the worst week we've ever had.
Or best.
Or best, maybe. Who are we to decide?
You've not heard the last one yet, though.
Oh, okay. Dave, what have you
I'm
got?
going to go with Fantastic Mr. Star Fox.
Oh, I like
great.
it. Very good.
I'm going to go for one based on the name of the film of the book. So, Kes Idn't Evil.
That is something I could relate to as well. I could see that working on so many levels. Fuck off, you zombie.
Alright, my next one, kind of a niche. I've not played it. It's The Very Hungry Caterpillars of Eternity. Thank you. Phil, what have you got?
It's The Last of the Soras.
Thesaurus.
The Last of the Soras.
Okay, I can get behind that. Dave, what have you got?
Paperboy in the striped pajamas.
Oh,
That's good.
it's a good thing we're not asking what they're about anymore. Faz, what have you got? Is this your last one?
Yeah,
Make it good.
it's really not good. It's One Flew Overwatch the Cuckoo's Nest.
Good lord. I feel like I'm getting a hernia listening to these. Alright, my next one. I did have a Tale of SimCities, but that's been taken. Someone went with another Dan Brown book. I've got Angels and Demons Souls.
Well, that's all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Phil, it's your last one. Make it
No,
good.
that was my last one.
Oh, was it? All right, now it's on to me and Dave, a sort of like end round that means nothing to anyone, but we seem to have written the most. So, Dave, hit me with it.
Gunjack Reacher.
Gunjack Reacher. Let's see. Gunjack, remind me, what's that?
Tekken.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Could have been Jack 2 Reacher, but it wouldn't have worked as well.
Here's another Zelda one. Gone with the Wind Waker.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's my worst one. Rocky and Bible Winkle.
Wow.
Get it out of the
Truly
way.
awful.
Okay, so on to my very last one now. Dave has a few more that will run off after I'm done. Are you ready?
Ready as
I
we
think
can
this
be.
may be my best one. Tony Hawk's Ride and Prejudice.
Nice.
Great. Yeah.
All right, it's up to you, Dave. Now take us home with about 5 quickfire amazing ones.
I've got Goblet of Fire Emblem,
Oh,
that's
fantastic,
good. I like
yeah.
it.
Half-Blood Prince of Persia.
Seen a theme, but carry on.
And my last one then is War of the Cooler Worlds. If you ever played Cooler World.
No one but you has played Cooler World.
I have played Cooler World.
What is
It
that?
was
The one where
great.
you're a beach ball?
You're a beach ball.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
like
I remember that.
You're a
Love that
beach
game.
ball.
Done
It
like-
was
addictive,
fun.
wasn't it?
It was
Do you know,
on like
it became
every
very rare
demo.
as well. Right, so on that bombshell, probably not. On that whimper, as usual, we will end it. So I would just like to say thank you for listening. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.